Hey guys, Chad here with the Reptile Rangers. Now we are at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center again today, and this is going to be Garbage Reptile Products episode number 5. All right, now we've done 1, 2, 3, and 4. Covered several different types of products that is just absolute trashy or a waste of money or just completely useless, and there's other better alternatives, a lot of the times even less expensive better alternatives. Now, this is going to be episode number 5. Before we get into that, right there in that corner, you see me touching it right there, is our subscriber button. Make sure to hit that, and we appreciate you doing that and following along week after week after week. If you're on your cell phone, just widen that to the full screen and you will see it right there. Now, this is Garbage Reptile Products episode number 5. This right here, which is the curly UVB bulb. All right, now it's not totally useless. Let me start off by saying that it's not just a complete piece of junk. The curly UVB bulb actually does have its significant uses. The problem is its effective range is what makes it essentially useless. Okay, so let's take, for example, you have something like this right here, a 55 long or a 40 breed, or even one of those open front vivarium terrariums. Most of those are anywhere from 16 to 18 inches tall, and then God forbid you have a 75 or 120 or even bigger than that. It just is taller and taller and taller. Most of the time what you have happen in those cases is you have the person not putting very much in there for things for the animal to climb on. So they're not getting very far off the ground. Maybe they have some stuff, but it just doesn't go very high in the case of iguanas or water dragons or bearded dragons or leopard geckos, crested geckos. Leopards don't climb that much to begin with, but anyways, just run with me here. Now, let's say that be the case, and in one of those tanks that we showed you before, they have what they're supposed to have, a heat source and a UVB source. Okay, fine, great. But if it's the curly bulb, or even like this right here, these tubular UVB bulbs, they're only effective 12 inches or less to the bulb. So 12 inches or less to the bulb. All right, understand this. The most effective range is obviously from right at the bulb to 6 inches away. So if you're running a full spectrum 10.0, a desert UVB, whatever the manufacturer calls it, right here it's getting desert, right here it's getting forested, right here it's getting tropical, right here it's just a nice pretty bulb. It's just creating light, okay? So the reason we call this garbage episode or garbage reptile product episode number 5, why we're putting the curly bulb in there and the tube, is because their effective range is not very far away from the bulb. Now, if the animal has things to climb on and you fill that habitat in so that they can climb around and they can utilize the space of that habitat, then those bulbs work just fine. The other issue that you have, they're only effective about 6 months. So both the tube and the curly bulbs, you have to replace about every 6 months. Even if they're still working and producing light, again, now it's just a pretty light bulb, okay? The better option and the most natural option, aside from sunlight, okay, understand this, if you give your reptile 3 hours of natural sunlight a week, 3 hours, it takes the place of a UVB bulb 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, okay? And if you can give it more than that, then even better. You don't even have to have that UVB bulb anymore at all. But let's say you don't ever take your animal out, or you don't have the opportunity to go outside in natural sunlight for 30, 45 minutes, an hour at a time, whatever the case may be, then a mercury vapor bulb is hands down one of the best things on the market right now. Now, there are heat UVB combos, but they're cheaper versions of what's considered a mercury vapor. It should specifically say mercury vapor bulb. And another great thing too is it's an all-in-one. It produces heat and it produces the UVB, UVA exposure that the reptiles need. So there in turn, now you don't have to have 2 fixtures, you only need 1 fixture. And you can use this bulb right here as a all-in-one, and it comes in many different wattages. Another great thing about these bulbs is they are effective at much greater distances away from the bulb. They also, their UV effects last much, much longer. Yes, they are a little bit more expensive, but overall, it really does save you money from having to have multiple sources using multiple power and then having to replace that UVB bulb every 6 months on the case of the old store-bought style Reptile ultraviolet light bulbs. Now again, every single one of these absolutely does have its uses. They are effective, but they're only effective when they're within a certain distance from the UVB bulb. That's essentially why either natural sunlight or adding calcium and with the VD3 is essential to make sure they're getting the extra amount. Because most people don't realize when they're setting up a reptile, especially one that has to have the UV and the heat, they don't get the UV close enough to the animal, and the animal still ends up contracting MBD or metabolic bone disease. And that's when they're like, oh, I've got the UVB bulb over the top of it. Well, and all we got to do is ask one or two questions and typically figure out it's so far from the UV that it's just not getting the effects from it. So, episode number 5 of Garbage Reptile Products is the curly, and I'm even going to throw the tubed UVB bulb in there just because of the limited useful time that they are able to be utilized and how close the animal has to be for it to really get the effects of the UV exposure. All right, episode number 5, Garbage Reptile Products, is the curly and tubed UVB bulb. Now, we appreciate you following along. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, make sure to hit the bell for notifications. Our information will be in the description below for those needing to get in touch with us with questions or needing help on something. Feel free to comment. We appreciate everybody doing that. Also, if you want us to film on something, go ahead and write us in. Let us know. People are doing it all the time, and we are trying to keep we'll probably never get caught up with them, but we're trying to get to them as absolutely fast as we can in the order in which they come in. Now, again, this is Chad. We are the Reptile Rangers here at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center. We do appreciate you following along with us. We'll either see you here at the zoo or we'll see you on the next episode. Later.